Hey, we're back. One of the things we just talked about on the break is a great stress reliever. What was that?
Talking about the O talk, meaning orgasm.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
The big O.
Is there a difference between millennials and the Generation Xers, you think, on orgasm?
On orgasms? You know what? Probably not. I think people throughout the generations have been kind of clueless about how to get that big O. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons why, I'm going to specialize in sex therapy, I'm so jazzed to teach people about areas inside of them that they didn't even realize they had access to get to that big O, which is a great stress reliever. So it's perfectly aligned with what we're talking about today. Right. But in general, because we haven't really talked, we haven't had a lot of sex education. I don't mean how to keep yourself safe sexually. We've had a lot of that kind of education, which is also very good. But we haven't had sex education in this country about ourselves intrinsically inside, how to reach different levels, how to use sexuality as an amazing gateway to understanding yourself better. Right. That has not been predominated. So it's been a very hush-hush kind of topic for a long time. But it's, I think, something that with the newer generations, I guess this does answer your question, I think they are more open to wanting more, to wanting to learn more. They're more open to learning.
Right.
You know, the younger you are, the more open you are to learning. Let's remember that, because the less in a box you've become or allowed yourself to become over the years. And then, it's nothing that gets talked about sexually is ever something, obscure or rude or crude. We're just talking about basic human sexuality.
The biology of everything.
Biology, and really inherently what it is to be an energetic entity walking this earth. You're not just a bunch of molecules in a body with bones and muscles and mass. You are an energy source. You have these energy points inside of you. And they're just waiting for you with your inner attention to come and tap into what each one means and how you can utilize the essence of each one inside of you to be the most whole version of yourself and reach your potential. Your sexual energy is harbored low inside of you in an energy center in your groin that the East has called, in the chakra world, they've called the root chakra, because it's your root. It's like the roots of a tree in the earth. Think of yourself like an oak tree, okay? The roots that ground us, that keep us growing and enriched in our development, are also inside of us, if we are that tree, in our groin area. It's how we're fed our energy from the earth, from others around us, from our own energy source. Right. So I like to think of it like a cave. So I'm entering into my practice here now to help people combat stress and guilt today in a totally different mindset. And here we are. So we're going to use this portion of our segment right now to talk about this. I want you to imagine a cave in your groin area. And think about it being what color it is. Mine's like a deep red. And it's musky and earthy and quiet in there. And there are stalagmites and stalactites, and I hear like dripping water from these stalagmites and stalactites. Get into your imagination for this work and come down inside yourself and really feel there's a cave in your groin area.
Okay.
When you can visualize that cave, oh good, he's closing his eyes. Close your eyes. When you can visualize a cave, you can visualize the water in it. Or maybe you can hear the rushing of ocean waves on the outside of it. You can hear the echo of those waves inside your cave right now. Really open your imagination to this. This now means your attention's inside of you. Your imagination is in your right brain. We've had a whole talk about the right and left sides of the brain. The right brain is your imagination. It's kind of this other way to communicate with yourself. And it's underutilized in today's world, and especially in this society. We are taught to only think from the left brain, which is very logical, rational, pragmatic, scientific, show me so I can believe it. But the right side of our brain is intuitive and artistic and creative and imaginative and is highly intelligent and has tools that are very valuable to our growth. We just have to utilize them. So this is one way to do that. Use your imagination. Come inside yourself right now and see a cave. This is your right brain now opening up. Whatever your cave looks like and whatever water you feel or hear in that vicinity, this is your sexual energy. This is actually how it's represented in your mind, in your imagination right now inside your body. It's true for you. Your cave is not going to look like Justin's cave, which isn't going to look like my cave or anybody else's. This is your own perception inside yourself of your sexual energy right now.
Right.
So if you have no water in there, that's also symbolic because it means you haven't spent a lot of time really even thinking about your sexual energy. Just right off the bat, what did yours look like?
Well, it looked like a cave.
Yeah.
Like a cave that you would see in the mountains.
Oh, it's a mountain cave.
I mean, there's trees around outside of it.
Okay.
And go inside, and there's a little cozy fire.
Beautiful.
Someplace to sleep.
So you're in the mountains, and you have like evergreens around you. It's like a forest.
Right.
That's beautiful. Did you ever read Allegory of the Cave?
No.
Plato.
No.
Okay, so that's a different kind of cave too. And so there's a little fire. You're sitting in this fire, area. Okay, and it's warm and cozy. Do you see or hear any water around you at all?
No.
Okay. The water itself does not symbolize the sexual energy. The cave is where your sexual energy is harbored. So if you have a fireplace right now, like a little rustic fire, and it's warm and cozy, that alone is symbolic of something about your sexuality that you feel connected to. Now, in my work, what we do is we locate these different areas in your body that have these different visuals. Your cave is located at the lowest part of these energy points in your body, which would be now in your groin, okay? The next one up is the sacral chakra, which is your...
Now you mean sacral? I mean like it's sacred?
Sacral is, the color of it is orange, and it's your center of security.
Okay.
Feeling
sexual
security, sexual energy,
there's sacral
security
things
in
in
your
our body. There's SACRAL things in our body, which are part of our back. But that's different from the sacral you're talking about.
Well, tell me about the sacral on your side.
Well, there are ligaments and joints that are in our low back.
Okay. Yeah, I think they are probably associated. You'd have to get like a chakra expert to come and talk to you about how they're associated. But I do know from the sacral energy point that this is the center of where your security is. So if you're insecure, a lot of people's inadequacy root gets tugged in this area. In general, how that manifests in our lives is through anxiety. So when you feel anxiety, you feel it in your gut.
Right.
It's like hornets swimming around, circling inside your stomach, right?
Right.
Well, because your sacral chakra is located in there. So your sacral chakra is about, 4 inches, like 2 or 3 inches below your belly button. Okay? And above that is your solar plexus. It's the opposite end of the spectrum to what we're talking about right now with this insecurity. It is actually the center of your security. It's the center of your personal power. It is a big sun. The solar plexus is a big sun in your core, right in the center of your stomach area. So put your hand on top of it right now and feel a big revolving sun.
You mean like the sun in the sky sun?
Yes.
Okay.
A literal sun, solar plexus. This is your center of personal power. This is where you can activate your own light, your own huge, abundant amount of energy inside of you to focus, to be driven, to live a healthy life, to be activated in your mind, body, spirit, to come home. And I like to see it as a lagoon. So your lagoon, this is what I call the lagoon of light. And again, close your eyes and see yourself in a lagoon. What does your lagoon look like?
It looks like a small pond with some trees around it.
Okay, so you're still in the forest, right? Yeah, all of this can be interconnected for you. You can be in a forest, and there are parts of the forest that have this lagoon. There are parts of the forest that you have to then venture to the cave. In my work, I connect all of these visuals into one big picture, and then we draw a map. We draw an actual map of your whole landscape.
Oh, cool.
So yours would end up looking
That'd be
like,
fun.
here's the part in my forest that the pond is. The more you go into this lagoon, you breathe in through the river of your breath, which I guess we'll have a whole other segment, we'll have a whole other show to talk about the river of the breath. This is the base of the meditative practice. The more you get into that lagoon, the stronger it gets, the stronger the visual gets. So when you get anxious about something, or even to prevent being anxious about something, breathe and drop down into that core, into that lagoon. And the more you do that visual, the stronger it gets. So you will immediately go there. And you can just visualize yourself laying atop this beautiful sacred lagoon that is yours and filling yourself with light from it. That is your center of personal power. You want to do anything with your life, you want to activate your energy source, you want to activate and feel good and feel energized and feel whole.
Right.
It starts there. You can really generate so much personal power from this light source that's inside of you. And these visuals are the way to get in there through the right brain. So now moving up into your heart. Put your hand over your heart. I know that you see the heart in a different way than I do, very medical and very medical. From the health-related side of it, right?
Right.
And let's start to, now on my side of things, look at the heart from a place of the color green. If you can just visualize the color green when you think about your heart right now.
Okay.
A lot of people see emerald green. I want you to imagine that your heart is like this big green entity underneath your hand right now that's beating. What do you see? What's the first thing that comes into your mind? You might want to close your eyes for it.
I see a kind of a hunter, darker green.
Yes, good, cool.
And some bright lights around the edges. Like sparkly things or something like that.
That's nice. Keep going.
Oh, more.
Keep looking.
It says more.
Keep looking at it. If you can get close to it with your attention inside of you right now, feel coming closer to it. What is it doing now?
Just resting.
And the sparklies on the outside? What do the sparkly things feel like? Can you reach out and touch it with your self inside?
As I get closer to them, they get brighter.
Reach out and touch it and see what happens.
I can't reach it.
Try to breathe. Just be patient. And again, inch closer. See if it'll let you touch it. If it doesn't...
Can't touch it.
Awesome. Okay. What that symbolizes, that's great that it didn't let you just now, because it's representative of this work. Maybe the first time you've ever seen your heart in this way.
That's right.
Right? So this is just the first glimpse, and you don't know what's inside there. The longer you stay in and attempt to approach it, there will be a few moments where that entity that's presented itself to you from a whole different part of your brain that you don't usually use to think about this area may not let you touch it at first. It doesn't really, it's like, who are you?
Right.
What are you doing here? You're new to it, and it is not new to you, but it's new to you paying attention to it. So I always encourage that you just stay with that and just breathe and take a breath, breathe into yourself and your inner attention in that moment, breathe into the entity you're trying to come towards. And it may let you touch it, but if you're not allowed to yet, something will occur just in that interaction of not being allowed to touch it, where you see or feel some other sensation occurring, and then we would go with that. And the day that it does let you touch it, or maybe just that moment, if we had stayed with this a little longer, if we had more time, I'd make you go into the river of your breath, and you breathe into that river, and breathe into that green entity, and inch closer again. What ends up happening is that thing that was kind of defensive against you touching it, or didn't want you to touch it, or you couldn't reach out to it close enough, begins to get really close, and it will change into something. It will morph into something symbolic of what it is inside your heart that either you need to let go of, that maybe you're holding on to, a past trauma, a past hurt, a past guilt. Guilt sits in the heart. Trust sits in the heart. Problems with trust sit in the heart. Heartbreak, obviously. Any kind of emotional pain and trauma we've been through sits in the heart. And usually this is where we feel depressed. Depression sits in the heart, very heavy, like an elephant sitting on your chest, which
Right.
oftentimes people describe when they're having panic attacks for anxiety. The two are very related, depression and anxiety. But trauma feels heavy on your heart. Now, on the flip side, yours sounded really nice and lovely, okay? On the outside, it was very optimistic, light and sparkly, right? And that's what you were trying to reach out for. That can symbolize that, you know, it doesn't mean that just because you ever have felt abandoned or rejected or in pain that you don't have a forever optimism about love and that you don't actually know who you are inside in your heart. Maybe you do. It seems to me, just from that description alone, without getting any further deep with you, the heart is so freaking deep. I mean, so deep. There's so much work with the heart to get inside. But just from the outskirts, you have an optimism and a hope, and that's symbolic and representative of the sparkly on the outside that you couldn't quite touch yet. What that might also mean is like you want to feel that love, and you're striving for that in your life. And you can't quite reach it yet, but you're reaching for it. Very symbolic. You know?
That's good.
Love, not necessarily even romantic love, just love. We all love. We're loving entities.
Well, you know, what I think is interesting from the medical side is that when people come in to the office or the hospital with chest pain, many times they'll say, you know what, I feel like there's an elephant on my chest. I just can't get that elephant off. So in respect to what your comment was, it's same thing.
That's what I just said, right? So anxiety and depression are related. They're like evil twins. One usually follows the other. We're triggered by a lot of things in our external environments. And again, our world out there is really tempestuous and crazy right now, isn't it? So there's a lot of external triggers happening. We call them triggers in the therapy world. They're things that will trigger these feelings of anxiety or these depths of emotion that have not been resolved that sit in your heart, like trauma, depression, right? So they're very correlated. Trauma, depression, trauma will lead to depression or anxiety. Trauma will lead to this clogging in your heart if we're looking at it from the right brain side. But from the left brain side, it literally leads to a diagnosis for depression or anxiety because clinically you start to manifest this criteria, these symptoms that tear down your body and make you have those criteria, the diagnoses for it. So when you're depressed and you feel like you can't get out of bed, it's usually related to some stunted feeling that has been left for so long in your heart that you can't even think or feel about it anymore. You just go numb and dark. You go into this abyss, not the good kind of abyss.
No.
There is a good kind of abyss, the oneness and nothingness and everythingness of creation. But the bad abyss is when you like don't think or feel at all anymore. You've been so suppressed. You've suppressed that feeling for so long behind like these closed, confined spaces in you that you can't even find anymore. And that really is the worst. It's so black in there and you just have to find some way out, but you don't even have the will to do it. Those are the people that we really want to reach out to when they get like that. If you have like somebody in your life that you know like that, please reach out to them because they don't have the strength to reach out of their black hole and reach up to you to be helped. You have to, you know, see them in there. Anxiety, on the flip side, related to that elephant that sits on the chest, well, that's because something's triggered them in their environment that's either related to some feeling they had way early on that's never been resolved, and then they see something occur in their external environment that triggers that. So they see like this car wreck or whatever, or they hear brakes of a car, but they've been in a car accident and those brakes triggered that traumatic incident of the car accident. These things happen everywhere for us. We could be walking somewhere not knowing why we have anxiety because so much has occurred with us. We just don't know what it is. So yes, the elephant sitting on the chest, one great way to use this work is to go inside, close your eyes, find where that elephant is sitting on your chest, feel where the heaviness is, and go to that with your mind's attention, just like we did with your heart just now. Anyway, we have a caller. I believe this is Alexander Demetrius. He wanted to chime in before we go on break real fast, and he'll join us for the last segment. So I will introduce him now, and then we'll be right back after our break. Hold on a sec. Hi, Alexander.
Hello, Alicia and Dr. Jenkins.
Hello.
Hi. What did you want to chime in with today? What were we talking about that sparked your interest?
What aren't you talking about? I mean, there's the whole Kundalini and the series of chakras that are in the basin. So I would love to
Dive in.
continue along that. Yes, exactly. Dive into the deep end.
All right, let's dive in. We're going to go on a break, and we'll be right back. Let's go swimming. Okay, guys, we got about 3 minutes left. We're going to bring on Alexander now. Hi, Alexander.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so words of wisdom from Alexander wrapped up in about 2.5 minutes.
Here we go.
No pressure.
What the Kundalini yoga is you can imagine these chakras, also known as wheels, that are in 7 centers throughout the body, starting at the base root and working their way up. The first 3 chakras are our animal connection, our instincts with the animal kingdom. Mm-hmm. And people who operate on this level are primarily concerned with health, wealth, progeny. God send us rain for our crops and help us win the war and so forth.
Survival and things like that of a primal nature.
Correct. And it's not until we get up to the level of the 4th chakra called anahata, which is also the sound of 2 things not hitting each other. That is the level of opening up to compassion, and it is a spiritual rebirth of the spiritual man out of animal man.
Higher consciousness realms going into them, yeah.
So now your relationship to the world, you have an intrinsic and deep-rooted knowledge that you and the other are one, and that you are an organism operating in terms of the whole environment and with the whole environment.
We are individual, and we're also collectively a whole.
Absolutely.
And how does that enhance how we live in life if we come from this mindset of coming inside and understanding this in ourselves and then operating in the outside world?
Visualize a spiral, and you can say that it starts at the 1st chakra and then goes and spins up and up and up. And what you're doing is you're using the inertia of your lower animal centers to take you up into your higher self. So if you're nasty, be nasty, but do it in such a way, and it will reveal the counterpart side of it, which
in
is
other
beauty.
words, yeah, stop running from how you feel. Go inside to it, allow it to run through you, and it will transmute into neutral energy again that you can use to create other force in your world that you can then use to, manifest love, manifest interest in others. Recognize you are a part of others. We're all one. That we're all mirrors for each other. Mm-hmm. And if you operate like that,
2 cents worth.
I love it. And so, do you operate like that in your life on a daily basis? And if you have a nasty day, you just get nasty and let that happen inside of you to transmute it.
Absolutely, because I'm in dialogue with my entire environment. So everything is a beacon for the transcendent, which operates in all things and informs all things. And I see these as symbols that are constantly communicating to me. And when my eyes are drawn to something, that's consciousness alerting me to say, hey, look at me, I'm trying to tell you something. And then you internalize these symbols that are personal to yourself, and then you figure out, oh my gosh, this is what it's all about.
I love it. We're learning from everything, and that is the lesson in life, right? Thank you so much, Alexander. We're out of time, but it was awesome to have you on.
Yes, it was great. Maybe we can get started earlier next time.
We'll do Joseph Campbell next time. Okay.
Sorry, Alexander. All
right.
Thanks, Alexander. See you next time.
All right. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and thanks, guys, for tuning in. See you next week.